everybody, it's the Raptor here, and welcome to the channel. This is my spoiler-free discussion video with my buddy Teddy here. We have gone to see all the recent Star Wars movies together, and we love to just break it down. As soon as we watch the video, we come right back to my car, and we are just going to talk all spoilers. So I hope you guys have watched the video, or the movie rather, because we're going to get full in. So first impressions with this movie, I'm a little bit mixed. There's things I really loved about this movie, and things I didn't really like at all. Let's just start off with the good. So what is one of the better things you've seen in this movie, Teddy?
Honestly, I think one of my favorite parts of most of the Star Wars movies I've seen is the space battles. So to see that many ships come to help the Resistance, like when Poe went up above the one Star Destroyer and saw just like a whole entire fleet, like multiple fleets worth of ships.
That was like a moment straight out of the latest Endgame for Avengers. Like that was that moment with Captain America. You see all the heroes. We had the same moment. This is the last movie in the Skywalker saga, so they had to go out big. There had to be huge battles. There had to be epic lightsaber duels. So they did actually. J.J. Abrams, I don't know if you call it course correcting, but he did a great job of really appeasing to the fans that felt a little bit left out for some certain things in The Last Jedi, I feel like, and he still adapted what happened in The Last Jedi very well and continued that story while providing kind of his own take on things and kind of continuing on with what he wanted to do, it seems like, in The Force Awakens, namely with the Knights of Ren. So let's talk about them a little bit. What did you think of the Knights of Ren?
I hadn't really seen much from them other than a couple trailers before this. Like, I know you've probably seen more with being up to date on the comics.
Yeah, they just had the Rise of Skywalker, Rise of Kylo Ren #1 come out, talking about the origins a little bit. So yeah,
okay, well, is that like the only thing
that's
we've really
literally
seen from them?
the only thing is that first issue of the comic that came out yesterday.
I wasn't sure.
That's
if
literally
there was
it,
more
like a
with
30-page comic that had a couple pages of Kylo Ren and some other things with the Knights of Ren. That's it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
They were interesting. Like, not to, like, granted they're not the same, but since we were talking about that a little earlier, part of it with all the different weapons they had and everything, it reminds me a little of like the Purge Troopers in Fallen Order.
Oh yeah, coming right out of Jedi Fallen Order, great game. Yeah. Oh man, I was really let down by these guys. So they kept showing us these awesome badass warriors. Like we've seen them on Pisana, we've seen them on Kijimi, just walking around. And then you get to the end, and of course Kylo Ren's got to appear very powerful. Yeah. But I feel like he just easily took him out like no problem. Granted, he's a Force user, and it's funny because in the comic they say that they're all Force users. I don't even know if I've seen them using the Force at all. Any of these guys?
Not that I recall.
So I'm like,
unless I missed it or something. I will agree with that. They could have definitely had more screen time. They definitely could have done more in general.
Yeah, so let's talk about Leia. Like, wow. Like, I can't believe that they actually had that many scenes with Carrie Fisher. I'm not sure if that was all her or some of it was CGI. I was so in the moment that I wasn't really trying to scrutinize what the images looked like. But I think the way that she intertwined in a story with Ben and kind of like sacrificing herself in a similar way that Luke did, and then ultimately Ben did the same thing in a way, was just so good. Like, that was like my favorite thing about the movie, is this like whole redemption thing that people have been arguing from the start with this whole Reylo thing. I was so against it. I was like, if Kylo Ren is going to turn to the light side, he's got to die or he's got to pay the consequences. And the way that he was able to turn in the end and actually use the same ability that Rey used on him, it was something that was just really, really surprising to me, and it was really welcome for something that I didn't want to have happen. The way they pulled it off, I turned 180 degrees on what I felt about that moment. What about you? Yeah,
the way, like, I wasn't too, like, granted, I hadn't really looked too much into like theories or like the whole shipping or anything of anyone. Like, I'm sure you heard the couple girls behind us freaking out when they kissed. I was like, oh god. But I kind of figured when he like held her like that, I figured it was to try and bring her back, and based on what she had said earlier, how she kind of like used a little of her life force to heal I forget who it was earlier in the movie when she first used it.
Oh, on the snake creature.
I thought there was someone before that.
Used it on
or
him.
was it on the snake creature first?
She used it on the snake creature, and then she used it on the Death Star ruins when she literally stabbed
Okay,
him.
So the snake creature was the first thing. For some reason, I thought there was something else. That I was forgetting.
Yeah.
But the way he had to use it, since it looked like she was pretty much dead, gone, I figured he'd die afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
definitely.
kind of had that feeling.
I like how they pulled that off. Now, we've seen characters returning, like we have Snap Wexley. We have a real quick appearance of Wedge Antilles during that battle. I really loved that quick appearance of Wedge. It was nice seeing him.
The blink and you miss it appearance of the ghost.
Oh, yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm going to be freezing that, or I'm going to be seeing this movie several other times, so I'm not going to really pay attention to anything on the center part of the screen. I'm going to be looking next time at all the things in the background. I pointed out to you really early on in the movie, and I don't think you heard me because I wanted to be quiet, was I think I see Kaz from Star Wars Resistance.
Oh, yeah, no, I
background.
heard you. I heard you.
And the reason why I say this is because I know exactly what the actor looks like. He looks a lot like Kaz, but he's a lot bigger. His name's Christopher Sean. So I am immediately going to go on after this and see on Twitter if he actually confirmed that was Kaz or if that's another character, because he's a big dude. Like, he works out at the gym and all. So compared to his character in Resistance, which is a little scrawny dude, I don't know if he just had a glorified cameo as another character, but I would really appreciate it. And again, I was looking kind of for the Colossus. I was hoping I would see the Colossus somewhere in there. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be. If the Ghost was in there, like, why not throw the Colossus in there?
It could be in there. Just think of how many ships there were.
That was unbelievable.
You could, when the Blu-ray comes out, you could sit there for hours, I'm sure, freeze framing every possible second of that, and probably still miss something with how many ships there were.
Yeah, like heck.
That was insane.
When the trailer came out, I actually freeze framed the trailer, and I thought I seen the Razor's Crest from the Mandalorian at one point. I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah,
the
I remember you saying.
there.
I remember seeing you or someone else post that, and then like a couple hours later, someone like picked it apart because they knew like the ship 100%, and we're like, no, this would be here.
Yeah, the engines would be slightly different.
Engines would be here. And I was like, holy
They're like,
shit.
oh, that's a Kazetan gunship, the Wookiees gunship, or something like that, whatever you pronounce it as. But let's talk a little bit more about the relationship, or not the relationship, but the powwow, I don't even know, the group, the trio, Finn, Rey, and Poe. I really liked how they were in together so much of this movie, because we really didn't get that at all throughout all the films. Like, the original trilogy, we had Luke, Han, and Leia, and a good amount of at least for the first episode, and then definitely Return of the Jedi. So seeing these guys really for like half the movie together, and having they totally felt like the chemistry was there between all the actors with Daisy, Oscar, and John. It really had this nice Star Wars classic adventure going to Pisana. Like, the speeder chase was a lot of fun. Seeing that first moment with the Millennium Falcon with Finn and with Poe, that was a lot of fun. C-3PO especially, like, he had a lot to do in this movie. C-3PO, he finally made it because he actually had a really important part with this. How'd you think of C-3PO's part of this?
The fact that he actually agreed to that, even though he knew it was going to wipe his memory, even though, like, granted, I figured R2 would give him his memory back, but the way he said his data banks or whatever aren't reliable, like, he even knew there was a chance that he was done. Like, granted, he wouldn't be done, but that he wouldn't remember any of it at all.
Yeah. So that was interesting. I really liked how they utilized a lot with Rian Johnson put in with that different force ability where Kylo and Rey were able to speak each other. They took it one step further, and they're actually manipulating physical objects in their own environments. Like, I love that scene.
Yeah, like when, like the first part where when they first start actually battling, like actually having like a saber duel somehow, even though they were in two separate spots. Like, I was like, okay, at first. And then when, I think it was she cut through the urn in whatever, like, market or wherever he was exactly. And the dirt spilled out in his quarters where she was.
Cool.
That I didn't even know how to react to.
That was really cool.
That was crazy.
That was really cool. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk a little about the things that we didn't so much care for. Right off the bat, I'll say I don't know how Palpatine's alive. I don't really get how he's still alive. Like, he literally repeated exactly what he said in, I guess it was what was it? Revenge of the Sith. Something about unnatural, like he talked about like Plagueis, basically. He recited like the story with Plagueis. Like, he's hooked up to some kind of thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like the idea that they explored like the unknown regions, and about like how he really dealt like with Rebels and with Clone Wars. He deals with like the Sith alchemy. I thought that was awesome how they actually brought that into the movies. Like, I'm so there for it, but they just didn't give us enough of his backstory, and like why he's there, why this all mattered the way it did, why did it happen now that he's suddenly put out his voice. Like, there's gonna be like probably an entire book series about hopefully all this, like Project Luminous. What is that gonna be like? What'd you think about Palpatine?
I'm still, I think, a little on the fence about it too.
Okay.
Like, I wasn't 100% against it, but I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like, how the heck is he actually back? Like, with how much mysticism there is between the Sith and the Jedi, it doesn't really necessarily shock me, but it would have been nice for a little bit more of an explanation behind it. Yeah. Another
thing is just simply more about the First Order. Like, we went through this entire trilogy not really knowing anything, and then at the end of the movie, I feel like the epilogue, I guess that's what you want to call it, at the end, they just kind of were like, oh yeah, the galaxy rose against the First Order and they're all destroyed. Like, wait, what? These guys took over the entire galaxy in a matter of a day, and you're gonna say all of a sudden that like every First Order ship is suddenly destroyed? Like, it's cool, like, I get it, you guys are going for like that Return of the Jedi like whole aspect, but just the way that like somehow like the galaxy rose up, I was a little bit not cool with that whole idea, especially since we just didn't get enough of the story with that, I don't think. I mean, would you agree with me on that? Or
I wasn't necessarily against the idea of the galaxy rising up,
okay,
but I do agree that, like, granted, I'm nowhere near caught up at all when it comes to the books and comic books and everything, but I don't remember what the title of it was. It might have even been, what was it, Bloodlines, maybe?
Yeah.
Was that the one where they kind of explored a little bit of the origin?
Yeah, with Leia.
Yeah.
And
that
Brian,
one I read, and I feel like just from that, I know more about the origin of the First Order than you get from pretty much all three films combined.
And that's the problem, right? Is like Star Wars should be so universal. Like, the main plot points should be covered in the films. Like, we shouldn't have to like as much as obviously you guys watch my channel, I talk about the damn comics all the freaking time. But still, for like the average viewer, they shouldn't really leave the theater thinking about, oh, what was the point of the First Order anyway? Like, that should really be a little bit more fleshed out, I would think.
I do agree with that.
I mean,
I'm all for them making books and movies and other movies and everything, and shows and everything that explore like other stories or even create new stories, how Fallen Order is a completely new story, completely new character.
Yes.
But I do agree to an extent that when it comes to like big plot points like that, especially like how and why the First Order came to be, it should be a little bit more fleshed out in the movies than it was.
And hey, that's not to say that maybe one day we'll get some kind of film or some kind of Disney Plus series that's going to dive really into that specific topic, especially if enough people are shouting out to the internet about it. Hey, Disney might actually explore that, because here we go. We're going to kind of leave it off here at this end. Where do we go from here? I mean, this is the saga ending, but obviously Rey's alive, Poe's alive, Finn's alive. Of course, we lost Kylo, we lost Leia. So all the Skywalkers are essentially dead, which makes sense. Like, this is the end of the Skywalker saga, because literally no physical beings are left of the Skywalker lineage, although Rey calls herself a Skywalker. It's not really the same thing. It's just in, like, in redemption for that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of open territory. I mean, they could easily have like an episode 10, 11, and 12 probably in another 20 years if they wanted to.
Yeah, it's like before even seeing the movie. Earlier today, I was I have a playlist that I'll make on YouTube of like stuff that I want to watch later sometimes when I'm scrolling through. And I'll watch a little here, a little there. I watched a few videos from it earlier, and one of them was about not necessarily the movie, but like future films and stuff.
Okay.
And the guy who, it seemed like he had probably already seen the movie.
Yeah.
From the sounds of it, he had even said that they left it, didn't really, that it was like an ending that was satisfying enough, but still left it open-ended. Like, perfect example is how Lando said to the one girl, what's her name?
Jana, yeah.
Yeah, said to her,
we gotta find out, or
that
something.
let's find out where you came from, or let's find out who you are. Like, that could be somewhere down the line its own show or book or movie.
Okay, so overall, what were you thinking walking out of the theater? We just seen the movie 30 minutes ago. What's going through your mind? Final thoughts.
Personally, I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some things I might not have been 100% thrilled with, but like I was telling you earlier, I went to Google something, and based on my search history, it gave me like the title for an article, and it said Rise of Skywalker, worst Star Wars movie ever.
There's always going to be somebody out there that says something like that.
Disagree. Like, granted, I know there were a lot of people, like, it didn't make me go in expecting that, but it also made me think, oh boy, what are people going to have to say about this one?
Oh, no.
Because I know The Last Jedi got a lot of hate.
The Last Jedi was a wasteland.
Granted, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There were things I wasn't thrilled with in that one either, but I still enjoyed it. Which is, in my opinion, what matters.
Yeah. And I'll say right now that I'm probably not going to lose sleep over this movie like I did The Last Jedi. Mind you, I've come to gripes with The Last Jedi being liking it a lot more than I did initially.
Okay.
So, but with this, I feel like they did a pretty good job all around. Like there's nothing wrong with the acting. That was great. The special effects were awesome. Just certain little aspects of this story bother me. Again, Palpatine, the way this came to an end, like I would have liked to see a little bit more resolution. Maybe they could have taken like 10 more minutes and just shown us a little bit more of the galaxy and what's going to come next. Like what's going to happen? Like is the Resistance just the Resistance? Is there going to be a new government? Are they going to restore the Republic for a third time? Like, I would have liked to see a little bit more closure, and I mean, that's about it. Like I said, I'm going to be seeing the movie a couple more times, definitely. So, and I'm going to be picking up that visual dictionary tomorrow, and I'm going to be reading through that like a madman before I see it again, because maybe there'll be some evidence of, oh yeah, this is how Palpatine survived, because sometimes they'll do that. They'll sneak in those little details and be like, why wasn't this in the movie? You know, so there's only so much they can do in the movie, but still, some things could have been fleshed out, I think, just a little bit better. So
like, for me, as long as I feel, especially when it comes to movies, like anything sci-fi, anything fantasy, you have to an extent have some kind of like suspension of disbelief, or like a lot of people will tear it apart because it's not realistic. It's sci-fi. No. It's fantasy. It's not going to be realistic.
Oh, bombs aren't supposed to fall in space, guys. Like,
as long as, like, for me, as long as like the acting's not bad, as long as the voiceovers and the special effects and everything isn't bad, as long as I enjoy the story, and as long as there's not, say, like, glaring terrible plot holes. Like, oh, in this movie Palpatine's dead, like, definitely, and then in this one he's alive, and then he's dead, and then he's alive, like that kind of thing. Like, granted, like I said, I'm not 100% against the idea of him coming back, but it was a little odd. Yeah. Unexpected.
Yeah. Like, how can he fall down a Death Star trench and have the whole thing explode, come back to life, and then be basically like force lightning to death and be okay, and then not come back to life again?
Well, then again, to an extent, I'm surprised Ben climbed back out of that hole, he got shot down by Palpatine.
I knew he was coming back. There's no way.
See, I figured he would, but it's like that's the kind of thing where normally you would die.
I didn't even like have any second thought that I was like, yeah, he'll be back right at the end. He'll be back right at the end to save the day.
And then, just since we're kind of doing final thoughts, so I don't forget to say about it, again with stuff we loved, how about all the voices of the Jedi?
That was something I just definitely wanted to talk about, but I completely forgot myself. Oh, that was epic.
I only just crossed my mind now, so I'm glad I thought of it then.
That was awesome, because that conversation with Luke on Octo, all the Jedi live in you now, like, you know, this is everything. And the fact that you have Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah,
I've seen the Kanan Jarrus apparently said something, because Freddie Prinze Jr. was in the credits. So you had Yoda,
the fact that we heard
Obi-Wan.
Luke, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Mace.
Oh man,
I'm sure there were others too.
There were others. And seeing Leia train as a Jedi with Luke and like seeing him young.
That was awesome.
Like, can we get a movie of that? Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see Luke train as Leia, like, for a whole movie. Like, that'd be amazing. So much, but like, I'm gonna have so much more content for you guys coming up on the channel very soon. I'm gonna have my review probably by the end of the weekend, so stay tuned. Make sure if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, you do that, and make sure you hit that notification icon so you don't miss any alerts when that video goes up. But I want to talk to you guys in the comment section below. Tell us what you thought of the Rise of Skywalker. This is a spoiler-filled video, so obviously just go crazy in the comments. It's going to be fun, and try to keep it civil. Hopefully it's not The Last Jedi all over again. We can kind of get along. I was hoping this movie would be like the one movie to kind of bind us together as a community. Hopefully, but what that being said, I also have reviews for The Mandalorian and Resistance as well, so make sure you check out that content. That's going to do it for me, Star Raptor and Teddy. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always.
Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at StarRaptor.